Islam. Allah is the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my God, my salvation, my night, my day, His holy prophet, to Ali. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord, governor, cherisher, sustainer, ruler of the worlds. I give a hail and high honors to all true divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, preachers, true Ali. I like to give honors to the Grand Staff, Moorish flag, red flag, bearing the 5-pointed green star, representing the 5 divine principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I like to give honors to the Star-Spangled Banner, which has covered us in our unconscious state. I like to give honors to the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, the Moorish Divine and National Movement, Canaanite Temple, all of the positive institutions of thought and that was inspired through the divine intervention of Allah, His holy prophet. I like to give honors to the Adjunct Chamber of the Moorish Science Temple of America, which is home to the Moorish Divine National Movement. I like to give honors to all ills, days, and Ali's. I like to give honors to all the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, because without you, there really is no movement. Islam is the law, and the law shall live. The reason I'm making this address today is because there is a lot of controversy with regards to the difference between the Prophet's movement, the Moorish Divine and National Movement, and there's been confusion with a lot of the activity that's been going on with regards to the sovereignty movement and how individuals have been getting certain things mixed up. So this is through the guidance of Allah. This is an attempt to bring it all to a point of order. And we like to utilize our law to do that. Because see, in order to get to the bottom or to the root of the solution, there has to be a common basis of unity. And common unity and understanding that we must have is of the divine constitution and bylaws. One of those unified understandings should be with that law as it relates to the situation with the fact that we have to live the life of a Moorish American. So there's a certain lifestyle in consecrated missionaries for the faith of Muhammad. That also entails that there's a lifestyle that's lived beyond just the meeting times on Friday and Sunday, as is evidenced by our divine constitution and bylaws. So, being that this is a lifestyle and we have been instructed to live life, then that means that entails that we have a responsibility to teach our people the truth about their nationality and their birthrights. So in doing that, and in making sure we're part and parcel of all uplifting acts, and adhering to all those things keep us in line with the necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America, which make us faithful members. Yes, that indeed is very important. But also you have to understand that you have a dynamic where the leadership has to be operating on the proper frequency in order for all its cylinders to be clicking. Because remember, this is a movement that operates upon the Rotarian complexion, which means we have to have a proper understanding of even what a Rotarian complexion is. So, with that being said, there is a certain lifestyle that should be provided for the membership by the leadership. as has been instructed to us through our holy prophet. Now, some of us may look at the Circle 7 Koran of the Moorish Temple of America, the 101s, that's the Moorish Questionnaire, and the Divine Constitution and Bylaws of the Moorish Temple of America is just study references to study or documents to study. But these are actually, in fact, documents of law. In fact, the Circle 7 Koran is our book of statutes. And we have the Divine Constitution and Bylaws to boot. This is why it says that Grand Sheikh and Chairman is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Grand Body and the Prophet of the Moorish Temple of America. So when we probably understand that we are operating within a religious society that's separated, that is recognized as being separation of church and state through the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, then we understand that we are operating within a, when we couple that with chapter 29, that brings about the sovereign capacity. But keep this in mind. The fact of the matter is we're operating within a constitutional theocratic monarchy, which means that the prophet is at the head as the monarch, as the constitutional monarch. And those that have been through the adept chamber have been appointed as his men, or in essence, the king's men. Or in essence, the ruler's men. Now, I understand that this may be a little confusing because one is going to see the prophet as being a ruler in the sense that he is a king or emperor or a prince. But just keep this in mind, that would have to be the case. Because there are two types of governments, republics and monarchies. I mean, look it up. History is replete with examples. It's either one or the other. And since we're drawing off a royal bloodline, someone had to step up to the plate to assume the position of authority, which is why when you read in chapter 47 of the Circle 7 Holy Koran of the Moorish Temple of America, you'll see that it makes a reference to the present Moroccan Empire. So when you say something is present, then you're talking about in the here and now. But the key is for those that were appointed in the positions of sheikhs and sheikhs who share part of the divine trust, it is upon them to be proper vessels, to be utilized and to hold part of the prophet's trust, and to be able to operate and execute and provide for the membership, the needs that the membership may have. Which is even why when you research laws like the Religious Corporation Act, Smith-Hurst revised statutes, you'll see that there are provisions given for just even any regular entity that is formed for religious corporate worship, religious corporation as formed to for purposes of religion, as a religious society. They have been given provisions to set aside 10 acres appropriated for burial grounds, camping grounds, schools, things of that nature. So basically, when you get into becoming a member of the Moorish Temple of America, you're talking about nation building. And then you're dealing with sovereignty from the sensible sense that not every person that becomes a member is a sovereign and they're going, right, oh, I'm the king. No, he's the king. No. Yes, we understand this as concept of spiritual sovereignty, whereas each and every one of us have a higher self. And each and every higher self is the sovereign of this form, which means higher self is Allah in man. So Allah within man is the sovereign of each and every man. In that sense, in the spiritual sense, we understand that sovereignty. And that spiritual sense of sovereignty, that's what allows us to draw a circle around the boundaries of our passions and keep them within proper boundaries. So, but when you're talking about sovereignty from the perspective of the law. But each and every Moor to stand up and say, I am the king of the Moors, that's not, well, let's just say that would be confusing. And Allah is not the author of confusion. Okay? Praise Allah for that. So, we also understand the vital importance of the right to travel and things of that nature that are associated with our religious freedom. And I think it does a great disservice to the membership to minimize such issues. Although we understand that there are plenty of issues that have a priority over beating a traffic ticket. Let's just keep it real. Okay, we understand that. But the whole idea is not to be molested or misused or abused by the citizens, which is what we've been seeing going on when it comes to the membership, many of the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So, because many of those that are in leadership position have dropped the ball, and as far as positioning the temple where it has all of the institutional capabilities to provide the essential things that are necessary for the growth of a nation. We have been stagnated by wrong-headed policies that refuse to acknowledge the fact that we are in an information age. And yes, there are many things that need to be updated. Through either conspiracy or ignorance, these things have been neglected. And there have been active pursuits to keep progressive membership from addressing these issues within various temple settings. So, and this is not coming from someone that's looking on the outside in. This is coming from someone that has been in, through, and risen from up amongst the ranks of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and can speak about what he knows and not what he's been told. So the fact of the matter is, being a sheikh or sheikhs, what has been imposed upon you is that you have divine trust, and you have been given a mandate to uphold that trust and to see to it that the members receive what they're supposed to receive. The beneficiary, the membership receive the benefits of membership, because with membership comes benefits. And a true leader understands that they are servants to the people before anything else. So that means that all the possessions that the members have should be protected in the spirit of chapter 31, justice. So if that is not the case, and the members feel like they have been misused or abused, then they would probably feel the inclination to take matters into their own hands and go up against the system themselves. And that might not always be the correct avenue to go through, but it is something. At least you're doing something. I recall he said that the prophet said, hey, do something. Even if it's not the right thing, do something. Don't just sit there on your hands. We're not advocating that people go out and do anything wrong, but follow the dictates of your soul, and all things within reason, of course. But for the sake of justice, it's unreasonable to just sit back and think that a man is going to allow himself to be misused and abused, and he has the knowledge of who he is and where he comes from. That's just unconscionable to expect that one would do such a thing and just relegate himself to second-class citizenship, and he knows that. So now it becomes a phenomena that the membership, being strong, operate and go beyond weak leadership, because there are certain provisions that are supposed to be in place for the protection of the members properties and the things that they protect, the things that they enjoy in. So we have to get back to the basics as far as what our law is. And it's a two-edged sword. It works both ways. It works towards the membership as well as leadership. You can be an unlawful leader and then expect others to be lawful and come into compliance and to align themselves with you in your corruption. How are you as an embezzler going to expect righteous leadership to come and support you in your cause? And you've been embezzling the membership for the last 10, 15, 20, 30 odd something years. That's unreasonable. And eventually people are going to begin to figure things out. You know, hey, they're going to begin to see, hey, where there's smoke, there must be a fire somewhere. So with that being said, we definitely don't advocate being in alignment with the European sovereignty movement, but we do understand that it's necessary for us to enforce the law in order to save the nation. And just because certain activities may resemble that of the European sovereignty movement doesn't necessarily make it so. The enforcement of the United States Constitution is not solely a Eurocentric patriotism concept. So we need to understand and get back to the nature of civics and what that actually means and what it is. And understand that it was actually the Prophet Noble Ali that set the tone for the civics that we find ourselves involved with today with regards to enforcement of the free national constitution, and particularly the First Amendment with regards to the exercise of free exercise of religion, which had a large part of, which was largely in part of the reason why the Prophet made the rule that he made in 1928, and with our authority, document number 1010-5905. Because when you look at the whole aspect of religious freedom, it represents sanctuary for us. So I wouldn't toss the baby out with the baby water, Moors. You know, don't get it twisted. Don't lose out on your salvation because of a few rotten apples in a barrel, so to speak. The religion is all good. That's why there's a saying that says if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. So if you think that the temple is not right, then your issue is not with the temple. It's with Allah and His prophet. So with that being said, I want to just tell all the Moorish kindred to stay strong, keep up the good fight, stay vigilant. This is Sheik Love You. I'm out here with you, and we're going to be putting more information out here to dispel a lot of these myths and to get to the heart of the matter, because ultimately it's Allah that guides the destiny of this divine movement, Allah and Allah alone. And those of us that realize and recognize that spirit of Allah within us, we will be in tune and we will begin to work with each other, regardless to whether or not we are in tune with each other physically or not, because it's all but one spirit, one Allah, one prophet, one temple. Praise Allah, and I bid you peace.